Hey everyone, and welcome to Money with Soul. I am your host, Amy, and I'm so excited to be here with you. This is the start of 2026, and I am excited to bring you this topic because I think it's a really good place to start the year with. It's around money with heart, and we're going to explore if there is such a thing. Is there such a way to become in alignment with your heart and with money, and how we do that, and some of the things that we can discuss. It's really about having this conversation around a new way of thinking about money. So the first thing I want to just touch on is I am here to chat about topics that bring a new way of thinking about money to you, and it's conversations and ideas that maybe you've thought of or maybe you haven't. My intention is to bring this topic to you because it's what's within me. So whether you resonate or whether you find something useful in here, that's amazing. But it's really about me sharing all of the things that are within me that want to come forward. So I just want to set that intention at the start of this podcast so that we can create the right space and the right conversation for those that need to hear it most. So, is there such a thing of money with heart? And I guess this is something that drew me to the soul money map and actually consolidating in my own life that we don't need to be separate from our wealth. And when we think about money, we often think about work, and I think it's sort of unraveling. And I've as part of the program that we cover with Soul Money, we talk about the old paradigm versus the new paradigm with money. People are awakening, and we're feeling like that old way of doing things of the old way of defining success isn't serving us anymore. It's burning us out. And we used to wear that. We've been used to wearing that with a badge of honor of how hard we work and how much we hustle. But there's a new energy coming forward that is really about alignment and finding that inner sense of calm and peace, and really finding a way to feel at ease with what we're creating, and looking at different ways of doing that. And so when we think about money, it's hard for us if our belief system doesn't allow us to think of it more broadly than the income that comes into our life to support our lifestyle. But it's really about seeing that money is a reflection of energy, and that our energy and our money reflect and mirror one another. And so when we understand that there is this vibrational aspect of money, we can start to shift the way we think about what we're doing, both to earn that money and to spend that money. And I like to bring the idea of cash flow as being the currency of our energy, our money energy. So the cash flow is the hub, and we often, when we know and understand cash flow and have that in a sacred surplus, it almost reflects the balanced nervous system. So, there's a lot in the world at the moment around stress and the actual negative impact of being in that stress state. The cortisol, that is the hormone that of stress. And when we think about, in hunter and gatherer time, stress was used as a way to provide the body with a rush so that we could run away from our predators. But now it's actually, we're running away from our own thoughts. And so we're in this constant state of stress. And so I like to also, when you're thinking about money, think about cash flow as a reflection of your nervous system. So if you think about when you're in a state of stress with your money and your cash flow, maybe there's no sacred surplus, maybe you're unsure of your sacred surplus, or you're just spending everything that you get. Or it could also be that there's a imbalance in your family dynamic, or in the way that your family runs money. So there might be not transparency which can create stress. Stress in cash flow comes from the unknown of whether we have enough or whether we're using what we have in the right way and to the best of our advantage, whether there's transparency about what's actually happening with our cash flow. And so when we look at the cash flow as the first state or the first step in in undoing some of that stress hormone and finding a place of peace and ease, that is where you start. Because when we have our cash flow automated so that we don't need to worry about paying bills or allocating money to investments or allocating money to the kids schooling or whatever the goals are that we've set for ourselves, having money set aside for holidays is a big one. Even just having that gives you a sense of making sure that there's money for the things that are important. It could be saving for something. It could be whatever the buckets are. It's knowing that your cash flow is taken care of. It's also addressing maybe if there is some things that need work, putting it on the table, because that is the only place that you can actually find peace is when you are completely honest with where you're actually at and knowing where you're at. And that gives you the freedom then to make decisions and change the course of action that you're going to take. In the nervous system discussion, we have that stress state, which is that cash flow. In a cash flow system is when you don't know what's going on, when you're not looking at your cash flow, so you're not utilizing your sacred surplus in a way that suits you. It might also be looking at things that you're doing that you really are not aligned with, that could create that discrepancy between what's happening in your life and how you're feeling and what's right for you. So that is the first place. And we start with the awareness when we look at the cash flow and we look at, well, what is the actual state of your current system, and what is the changes that you need to make so that it can flow and provide a sense of ease. And then the other side of the nervous system is when we have what we call coherence or heart coherence. And when your nervous system is balanced, so if you're just going back, if you're in a state of stress, it's like that fight or flight. So I think everybody understands it. You fight, flight, or freeze. When you're in that place, making decisions are generally based out of fear. And if you're in a fear-based decision, you will, in my experience, try to control an outcome or try to find control in something. It could be in a both positive and negative way. So the control that we try to obtain over our circumstances, it can often be led from fear. In a state of heart coherence or balance, there is this place of allowing or a sense of understanding. So there's no need to control because we know we're okay. It's that nervous system can take that big, deep breath and just breathe out, because we're not fighting or flighting. We have that balance between both the brain and the heart, and it allows us to be in a state of creativity. And if you just take a minute and think back to a time when you were in a state of creativity with your money, when was that? Was that a place where you were in a full awareness of your situation, when you were in a full place of abundance or allowing? What was it that made you come into a place of ease? And that is what we create when we have automation in our cash flow with our money. So it's allowing us then to know that all of the things that in our life are flowing and they are taken care of, so we can give ourselves space to think more creatively and think more expansively. And so when I talk about money with heart, it really is a practical thinking around, are we in a state of fight, flight, or freeze, a state of stress? Or are we in a state of creativity where we can actually take a breath? We know we're being taken care of. We have the emergency fund set up so we know if something was to happen that was unexpected, that we have access to funds that can support us. Or even that state of ease and state of breathing out and heart coherence can be acknowledging where we are and surrendering into that, because there's so many places that can help us, but we can't get help without knowing exactly what help we need. So it's really about taking that sigh out, and you can feel it in your body when you experience that. And in this way, it's the new paradigm of money, is thinking about how do we find a more physiological expression of living and breathing with incomings and outgoings, and not thinking that money is what is the determinant of what state we should be in. So it's flipping the dial on, we are here, we are in control of everything that both happens to us and for us. And we first need to become aware of where we're at completely, and take ownership over that. And then we need to actually surrender into, well, where is the next where is the next um, best step forward from that place. And I think that's where we start to see that everything is being in everything comes into alignment with where we are. And so when we come into a place of heart coherence, we can find the next right step from a place of surrender and ease, and not from a place of fear. So before we want to wrap this up for today, I wanted to actually just take some breaths. Heart coherence is really about, we have to come into a place with an elevated emotion, and we have to breathe through our heart. And so it's really stimulating what we call the parasympathetic nervous system in the body, which is that rest and recuperation. And it just brings, it actually balances away from the cortisol and the stress hormones. And so if we do this regularly and we start to really feel that into our body, it can actually, even if we just do 10 breaths together and then spend some time writing down the exact place of what we need to do with our money, we will feel completely differently than if we're just going out and taking action with our money with no conscious awareness of what's happening. So let's do that now. I'm going to get you to get into a comfortable position and just take a seat and just close your eyes. We're going to just feel the back of the chair or the place where you're seated. It could be on the ground. You could even lie down. It's really whatever feels most comfortable for you. And just, you are seated, just place your hands in your lap, or comfortably beside you. And we're just going to take 10 deep breaths right down into the belly, and breathe in and out. And as you breathe in, just breathe in through your heart. And breathe out. And we're just sort of relax into it, breathing in and out. Now, please don't do this exercise if you're driving, or if you're concentrating, or you're at work. Just take the time to connect into it when you have that space. Breathing in and breathing out. And I just want you to think about something that feels really good for you, like that feeling of freedom, that feeling of being in alignment with all the decisions that you're making. That maybe it's that place where you really, who it is that you really want to be. How would you feel if you could step into that place right now? Just taking a moment just to feel that in your body. And then on your next inhale, we're going to breathe up through the body. So we're going to breathe up through the belly, in, pull your belly button in, lift up, lift your chest, breathe all the way up to the top of your head. Hold it there. And then breathe out. Good, releasing it. We're going to do 2 more like that. We're going to breathe in, feeling the belly rear up, pull in, pull in, pull in, all the way up to the top of your head. Hold it. And then release. And last one, to a nice big deep breath in, fully in through the belly, In, up, lifting, up, 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 all the way to the top of your head. Hold it. And breathe out. Feel. Feel that energy running through the body. Just experiencing that. And then gently you can open your eyes. Amazing. And so breath work and, using the breath as a way just to connect into that nervous system, find that place where you can create the experience of heart coherence, the creativity, that gratitude, all of these feelings that are elevated. This practice will help us find a place to become into that space of creativity and leading from the heart. Now, before I go, I just wanted to also read, this is Marianne Williamson. So for some reason, I picked this up the other day. Like, I read books regularly, but for some reason, I picked this off my bookshelf. I love books. And I just opened up before this podcast to a page. So bear with me. If you have to duck off, that's fine. I just wanted to read probably like 3 or 4 paragraphs out of this book. And I just want to leave that as the closing of this session today. One day you might find yourself called to a task that makes no money at all. But if it contributes to your stature as a human being, to your character and integrity, if it teaches you about yourself and the world, if it provides you an opportunity to show up fully for life, then it was a prosperous activity. Another day, you might find yourself in a job you don't really love, and yet if you're honest with yourself, you realize it teaches you discipline or humility or responsibility, necessary lessons in order to attract and manage money correctly. Money comes from the universe and will arrive when it's created, not just by material cause, but by the energy of righteousness. Righteousness means right use of the mind, and the only right use of the mind is love. The universe knows what our needs are and is programmed to provide for them. When you start asking, have I provided for love's needs, more frequently than you ask, has love provided for my needs, then the miracles that occur naturally in the presence of love will fall at your feet and into your hands. Maybe you needed to hear that today. I just wanted to leave that with you because that's so cool how that was the page that I opened up. Guys, it's been a pleasure to chat with you, and I can't wait for our next session. Have a wonderful day.